Trading beginning pretty strong out of the gate here in the United States. A bit more of a modest gain that we're seeing across the board in European trading today. We, of course, have Janet Yellen testifying. That's due in just about 25 minutes from now, as well as Chinese GDP data that came out over the long weekend that are pushing up stocks there. Our Tom Belger is there with the details for us. Tom.
Hi there. Yeah, most global stocks seem to be heading higher today. MSCI's Asia Pacific Index, that was close to record highs earlier on in the session. And that, as you say, is off the back of Chinese GDP data yesterday. That showed GDP up 6.5% in Q4 of 2020, figures that certainly here in the UK, the government would be envious of. And then Europe has made much more modest gains so far. Expansion in China, though, is good news for companies like HSBC. So that's pushing the FTSE higher in London. They're also planning to resume dividends as soon as possible. And then in Germany, Logitech said that its sales leapt 64% in the first 9 months of the year. Working from home, clearly webcams back in fashion. And a survey on business sentiment in Germany as well, though, was better than expected in Europe's biggest economy. Worth saying, too, as you say, the World Economic Forum, they've just published their annual risks report ahead of virtual Davos later this month. They surveyed world leaders on what the biggest perceived risks are over the next decade. And COVID clearly looms large. Not just infectious diseases, but livelihood crises are their biggest concern over the next couple of years. WWF keen to point out they've been warning of a pandemic since 2006. And they've surveyed leaders on obviously these short-term issues, but longer-term ones as well, which make for interesting reading. Asset bubbles bursting, IT infrastructure breaking down, price instability, commodity shocks, debt crises, all up there amongst leaders' concerns over the next 2 to 5 years. And then beyond that, in the second half of the decade, WMD is still ranking up highly there, as well as state collapse, biodiversity loss, adverse tech consequences, and lastly, natural resource crises. So no shortage of major issues on the concerns of the WEF as global leaders come together for that summit later this month. Julie.
Come together virtually at least, right? And then maybe we'll meet in person in Singapore later this year. That's the plan. But indeed, litany of concerns there, Tom. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.